This is the AI Executive Brief, and I'm Stephen Forte. The end of buying software. Today we'll talk about why the biggest shift in enterprise software in 20 years isn't coming from a new platform. It's coming from your employees building their own. So Replit just raised $400 million at a $9 billion valuation. That's a triple in 6 months. They went from 2.8 million in revenue to 150 million in ARR in under 2 years. They are now targeting 1 billion in ARR by the end of 2026, 50 million plus users. 85% of the Fortune 500 already have people building on the platform, and they're not alone. Cursor, the AI coding assistant, just blew past 2 billion in ARR, doubled its revenue run rate in just 3 months. The entire category of AI-powered software creation tools is going exponential. But here's the thing. The real story is not Replit's fundraise. The real story is what Replit represents. We are watching the end of the buy the giant platform era in enterprise software. And if you run a company of any meaningful size, this fundamentally changes how you think about your entire technology stack. Let me explain what changed. Replit's new product, Agent 4, is 10 times faster than the previous version and can run multiple coding agents simultaneously. But the critical difference isn't speed, it's who it's designed for. This is not a developer tool. This is a tool for product managers, HR teams, finance teams, legal teams, designers, people who have never written a line of code in their lives. Replit CEO Amjad Masad calls it the cockpit of your business. And that phrase is more precise than it sounds. He's describing a world where the person who understands the problem is the same person who builds the solution. No ticket filed, no sprint planned, no 6-week wait for engineering bandwidth. Now, I know some of you are hearing this and thinking, great, another demo, another proof of concept that dies on the vine. So let me give you real numbers from real companies. Rokt, 700 employees, global e-commerce company. They ran a company-wide hackathon. In 24 hours, their people built 135 functional applications, not prototypes, not slide deck demos. These are now running in production every single day. Their financial monthly close is supported by Replit-built tools. Their legal task tracking runs on Replit dashboards. They manage and prioritize over 30,000 operational tasks per year through custom-built engines. And here's the part that stopped me. Their SVP of Solutions and Operations, John Humphrey, no engineering background whatsoever, sat on an iPad mini and deployed a fully functional application with OAuth authentication in a single day. And then lawyers started coming up to him saying, John, I've been building in Replit. Lawyers. Building production software on their own. Think about that for a moment. The people closest to the problem are now building the solution without waiting for anyone's permission or anyone's sprint cycle. UKG, 16,000 employees, used Replit and saw a 400% increase in their ability to gather customer-driven feedback before making engineering investments. 400%? That's not a marginal improvement. That's a fundamentally different operating model for how you decide what to build. DoorDash built over 40 custom operational tools internally. Estimated savings, $6 million versus buying off-the-shelf alternatives. And that number doesn't include the time savings or the fact that their teams actually use the tools because they helped design them. The off-the-shelf products weren't terrible, they were generic. And generic turns out to be very expensive when you multiply it across thousands of employees. ClickUp built 6 AI-powered tools connected to Salesforce, Zendesk, and Snowflake. Hundreds of hours automated every single week, $200,000 per year in direct savings. And those tools were built by the teams who use them, not by a central IT department 3 months later. Now, here is my thesis, and this comes from working directly with clients, not from reading a blog post. We are moving toward a world where companies build constellations of small, bespoke applications that solve specific problems and improve specific workflows, rather than buying one massive enterprise SaaS platform that tries to do everything. We've seen this movie before. Salesforce starts as a clean, simple CRM. Beautiful, elegant. Give it 10 years and it's a bloated platform with hundreds of modules, 90% of features your team never touches, and custom fields that actively get in the way of the work. The same story played out with ERP systems. The same story is playing out with every monolithic platform that tries to be everything to everyone. The new approach is different. Instead of one system that does everything adequately but nothing exceptionally, you get a constellation of focused tools, each one solving a specific problem for a specific team, and you build them in 45 minutes. Now, and this is where the nuance matters. I am not telling you to rip out Salesforce. I'm not telling you to abandon SAP or ServiceNow. The core systems of record are not going away. AI agents need somewhere to read and write data. Those platforms persist as the data layer. Andreessen Horowitz published a piece making exactly this argument. They said the systems of record endure, but the interface and automation layer becomes the new frontier. The system of record slips into the background as what they call a commodity persistence tier. To put it more plainly, the bridge becomes the highway. The database stays. The way people interact with that data transforms completely. So the argument is not replace your CRM. The argument is this: stop buying the 47th Salesforce add-on module that your vendor swears will solve everything, and instead build a focused tool that does exactly what your team needs. Build it in an afternoon. The monolith stays as the data layer. The bespoke micro apps become the work layer, and that distinction matters enormously for how you allocate your technology budget. Retool's 2026 survey confirms this is already mainstream. 35% of teams have already replaced at least one SaaS tool with something custom built. 78% plan to build more this year. Every SaaS category, from workflow automation to CRM to business intelligence, is under replacement pressure. So why should this matter to you right now? Today, here's the math. Harvard Business Review found that digital workers toggle between applications 1,200 times per day. That burns 4 hours per week just reorienting, 5 full working weeks per year, lost to context, switching alone. Your people aren't slow. Your tools are fragmented. Meanwhile, upgrading SAP can cost several $1 million, take 3 years, and require 50 Accenture consultants. And after all that time and all that money, your teams are still toggling between 12 screens to complete a single workflow. Or you build a bespoke tool that solves the actual problem in an afternoon. No procurement cycle, no 18-month implementation timeline, no consultant army, no board presentation justifying the spend. This changes the build versus buy calculus permanently. Your operations team, your finance team, your legal team, your HR team, they can now build the tools they actually need, tuned to the way they actually work, connected to the data they actually use, and they can do it this week, not next quarter, this week. Look, every wave of enterprise technology follows the same pattern. First, the pioneers build custom. Then a platform emerges and everyone consolidates onto it. Then the platform bloats. Then a new generation of tools makes custom building easy again, and the cycle restarts. We are at that restart moment right now. Except this time, the barrier to building isn't a team of engineers. It's a person with a problem and a lunch break. The question for every leader listening isn't whether this shift is coming. The data says it's already here. The question is whether your organization is the one building or the one still buying bloated platforms your teams barely use and your CFO quietly resents paying for. That is the AI Executive Brief for Tuesday, March 24th, 2026. I am Stephen Forte. If this was useful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I will be back Wednesday with more. Until then, stay sharp.